Hey Raider Nation, thank you for joining us on the Only Nation podcast, brought to you by the Raider Ramble. My name is Heidi, but you may know me as Kevlar Prom Dress or even Raider Ladybug. I'm here with Raider Homer and T3 Raider Facts, and we're ready to talk some Raiders football together.
Oh yeah, all right, always ready to talk Raider football. And we got a big announcement, Raider Nation. T3 has agreed to join us as a full-time host here on the Only Nation podcast. Welcome, T3.
Yay! Yay, T3! We are very happy to have you here.
Oh, yeah, dude. You're going to bring some great knowledge and some in-depth insight, to this podcast. So I'm excited.
I'm excited, too. Let's get started.
All right. Today on the show, we're going to cover some of the more notable free agent signings, the undrafted free agents and regular free agents, and review the newly released schedule. T3 will be doing a segment on the proposed changes to the Rooney Rule and if they would work or not. So listen up.
Be sure to contact us, Raider Nation. You can reach us by phone at 904-701-8667 and leave us a voicemail, leaving some shout-outs and even giving us some ideas for what you'd like to hear on the show. You can also email us at theonlynationpodcast@gmail.com. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at OnlyNationPod, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Only Nation Podcast. And like I said, man, be sure to like and subscribe to us on all your favorite social media accounts and podcasting apps. Don't forget to send us a message with your name and address, and we'll send you a free Only Nation Podcast sticker.
And you never know what else you'll get with it, too. I've got a bunch of little Raiders things ready to go.
Awesome.
All right, latest news. The 2020 schedule is out, and we will be breaking it down later in the show. Probably not a game-by-game look, because everyone else has done it that way. But we'll be talking about some of the major ones. And the first bit of news we've got is KVVU Fox 5 in Las Vegas has been named the official broadcast home of the Las Vegas Raiders. They were given a multi-year extension. They've had the original contract, I believe, for 3 years now. But Raiders.com reports, as the official broadcast home of the Raiders, KVVU Fox 5 will have the exclusive market rights to carry the Raiders preseason games, along with producing and airing the pregame shows for those matchups. During the NFL's regular season, KVVU will have the same market exclusivity to air the Raiders postgame shows and John Gruden's weekly press conferences. In addition, KVVU will air the Las Vegas Raiders season preview show.
And some other news, our own Jalen Richard recently participated in the Harvard Business School crossover into business program, which is designed for professional athletes interested in learning more about the industry. So Jalen was required to complete 3 case studies and then present a final case study to a pair of mentors and the Harvard Business School director, Ms. Anita, at the end of the semester. For his final, Richard presented a case study on NBA legend Dwayne Wade and his investments outside of sports, which was met with high praise from the judging committee. So we have a pretty smart back in our running back group, wouldn't you say?
I would say so, yeah. Good job, Jalen.
And we know what he can do. We know what he can do. We've seen him do it. It's great to have this kind of player on our team. These are the kind of players that Gruden and Mayock are looking for, and that's why he's been able to stick around. All right, now we have some more good news on the Allegiant Stadium front as construction continues, and the natural grass field tray was sodded this past week. So, more good news, right? Those sick construction workers did not halt construction of Allegiant Stadium. Well, it's up in the air whether we're going to be able to go to the games at first, but hey, the stadium is it's continuing its construction, so good news.
And it's beautiful. Have you seen the drone shots of it? Them flying over?
No, I haven't, no.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous.
I did get one of the legacy bricks, though.
Really? For me?
Oh, well, no, for me and my daughter, but I thought about you, Heidi. I thought about you.
And until you saw the total price.
I ran out. Yeah, I had to go with the $1,000 brick. because it gets pricey after that. It's already pricey, but man, that's a chance to be a part of Raiders history. and I'm happy to have me and my daughter's name there forever at the stadium.
That's pretty awesome. Hey, depending on what my house sells for, maybe I can get one.
That would be cool. That would be real cool.
Yeah.
And we did have two bits of sad news over the weekend. One, and I'm sure everybody knows this by now, but legendary pioneer Phyllis George, broadcaster, passed away at the age of 70 over the weekend. And I was recently texting, or not texting, but on Twitter with Beth Mowins, who does the broadcast for the Raiders, and she twittered this, watching this crew every Sunday, and that was Irv Cross, Brent Musburger, and Phyllis George, every Sunday, got a little girl like me to dreaming. Can I be a sportscaster like her? Thank you, Phyllis George. So for all the ladies out there, and again, sports is not just a guy thing, it's an all people thing. And Phyllis George, as a pioneer, should be applauded for all that she did to pave the way for so many people like Beth Mowins and so many others who have gotten into the broadcast field. So our thoughts and prayers are with Phyllis George's family. And also Roger Byrd, who was a Raiders draft pick back in 1966, who was a standout at Kentucky. He was actually drafted by the Raiders in the very last year that the AFL and NFL had separate draft picks. And I was actually putting this together in the current podcast episode I'm putting together now on 1966. So it's kind of weird that it happened this week. But certainly our prayers are with Roger Byrd and his family as well, a legendary running back with defensive back, with the Raiders, who played with them from 1966 through 1969. So we want to pass along both of those condolences.
Yes, and that will be episode 10 of Raider Roots podcast?
Episode 10.
All right. So to all our listeners out there, go over to YouTube. Check out the Raider Roots podcast with T3 Sports Guy, and he will be talking about this in more depth in episode 10 coming up.
Shout out to Phyllis George, right? Yes, football is not just for guys. And if you're a listener of the Ladies of Darkness, you know that. So shout out to Phyllis. She led the way for great podcasts like the Ladies of Darkness and other broadcasters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was her pioneering work that allowed Beth Mowins to do her pioneering work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. And I try to encourage my daughter to broadcast as much as possible because, women have a great voice. They've been a huge part in society, and especially with the Raiders, right? With Amy Trask, and I forget the first female trainer, right? She was on the Raiders, though. But, yeah, the Raiders have led the way as far as opening the doors for, females and African Americans and Hispanic Americans.
Got that right. T3, you approached me a day or two ago about going over the Rooney Rule.
I've read a lot of pieces about this new incentive program by the NFL for hiring minorities. And one particular piece that I found that I largely agree with comes from Michael Rosenberg of Sports Illustrated. Now, let me just start off by saying that Roger Goodell does not have a stellar track record. I think we all know that. And while I believe that he genuinely wants what's good for the game, a lot of times he can't keep from tripping over his own 2 feet. Take this recent plan to use draft positions to incentivize hiring people of color. Good thought, bad idea. Actually, not just a bad idea, but a terrible idea. Now, for one thing, minority coaches would always face the old racist knock of, you were only hired or allowed to keep your job because of the color of your skin. But even worse, instead of delivering on its promise, it's just going to set the league back several more years while the league sees an epic failure both in the front offices and in the court of public opinion. Now, according to the NFL, here's what the plan stipulates. It has 3 things. Number 1, teams move up 6 slots in the 3rd round for hiring a minority coach, or 10 spots in the 3rd round for hiring a person of color as its general manager, or whatever title it gives to the person who builds the team. Number 2, if a team hires a minority coach and GM, it jumps 16 spots. And number 3, teams would get bonuses for keeping minorities in those positions. Now, ask yourself, if you're an owner, would you really hire a coach or GM so you can move up a few slots in the 3rd round? If you said yes, you would be a terrible owner. What's a 3rd round pick compared to getting the right man or woman, yes, I said it, for the coach or GM job? Any minority coach or executive would still have to hear that he or she got hired or retained just to improve draft position. Successful people of color already hear nonsense about their qualifications from the "I'm not racist but" crowd. Although I think this proposed change honestly comes from the heart, it's not going to help, and it's just throwing water onto an electrical fire. Now, Goodell has taken a beating for a long time, but two things that have persistently frustrated him are: one, the league hasn't done enough to sufficiently promote minority hiring, and two words, Colin Kaepernick. But now I'm not going to tackle the whole Kaepernick issue today. One issue is enough. Now, I think that Goodell would love to have close to half of the league with minority coaches and or GMs, not simply for the appearance of diversity, but because it would mean teams are closer to a colorblind hiring process. Right now, 3 out of 32 teams in the league, there are only 3 minority head coaches, 3 out of 32. And that's hardly representative of the coaching profession in 2020. The problem is that Goodell works for the people he's trying to pressure, not the other way around, and his power is limited. The brunt of his authority includes fines, removing draft picks, and incurring suspensions. He's used those tools to enforce minority interviews, but fining or suspending teams for hiring white people? Really? So you can clearly see why using draft picks as an incentive came up. It's just the wrong idea. It wouldn't work. The roots of the minority hiring problem are lazy perceptions of people who are just trying to figure things out, and they are into hiring people who know who they know or who look like they do. The best way to combat those, like with many racial problems, is by increasing awareness and comfort levels. Put enough minority coaches in front of white conservative owners, and you increase the chances that one will get hired somewhere. Owners should study Al Davis. He was doing this way before the Rooney Rule even became a thing. He looked beyond the tone of someone's skin. He looked for the tone of the person. What's truly good for the league? How about this? Equity. Now, here's the solution real quickly. Part of the league's problem is that the hiring process is rushed. Why not rearrange the league schedule? Don't let anybody interview for a job until the Super Bowl is over. Then give 2 weeks. Give teams a 2-week window to make hires. Push back free agency. If necessary, the combine, the draft, and even the Senior Bowl. These would be radical changes for the NFL's league year, but Goodell needs to make radical changes to both show he means business and to get better results. His heart may be in a good place, but the league is not. And this draft pick plan, while well-intentioned, is a really, really bad idea. And that's just my take.
All right, thank you, T3. That was a pretty solid take. What say you, Raider Homer?
I mean, this is a touchy subject, right? This can, lead people to be upset, and it's a hard thing to tackle. Yes, Al Davis, with hiring Tom Flores and Art Shell was leading the way, but then again, who was after that, right? So yeah, it's touchy, right? But Mike Tomlin, he's had a successful career. It pains me to say, but he has, right? So, I mean, I don't know what to say, to tell you the truth. I just hope that eventually, right, that it becomes a natural order of things. That, it's just, like you say, that you're putting, they have a certain mindset, these owners do, and they look for a certain thing, and it could be considered like the good old boy thing or whatever. They're just with comfort, they're comfortable with certain coaches, and they just happen to be white. But you would think that as we progress as a society, that's just naturally going to happen. So trying to incentivize, or trying to use incentives like draft picks to make it happen, I mean, I don't know. You'd have to ask people of color what that makes them feel like. I think that's where it really lies. It's hard for me to say. I just hope that it gets fixed.
I understand that the NFL has a problem, and they certainly want to step up to try to do what they can to correct the problem. But I think this is not the right way. And as I've been looking and listening to lots of media outlets across the country, I think a lot of people are in agreement with the fact that it's a good thought, but this plan is a bad plan.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely well-intentioned, and eventually maybe it would help just by opening the interview door, but I really think that it would set us back, because then you would have people being hired based on their race as opposed to their qualifications, such as Eric Bieniemy. Almost everyone agrees he really needs a shot to be head coach, and hopefully he will become one in the next offseason or two. But he deserves to be a head coach based on his merit and his qualifications. He's a really good coach. And he doesn't need to have...
in my mind... Go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, and he doesn't need to have that role behind him saying, we'll give you more draft picks, and then open that up to people questioning his qualifications. He should get it because he's a good coach.
Consider this. Suppose you have a team that wins a Super Bowl and they're in a transition year, and then they hire both a new general manager and a new head coach who both happen to be minority. And then you have a team like the Raiders who are pretty set for both GM and head coach. They haven't done anything wrong. They just don't have a position available. And yet this Super Bowl team can probably jump over them and leapfrog over everybody else just by making that hire. So what you're doing is you're actually penalizing teams who don't even have an opening. They don't even have a chance. They haven't done anything wrong. They're being penalized for just operating as usual.
Great point.
Yeah, this is a hot topic in the Raider Nation, right? Like Buckner, right? He was fired, or he was let go, and Marinelli was brought in, right? This is the perfect case, but so it's divisive, right? So that's the tricky part. Like I guess the NFL has to do something, right, to encourage the owners, that see things a certain way to do something. But yeah, I can see that, right? I wouldn't want us to get jumped over for draft picks, or in the draft because we were set in our front office. But yeah, it's still a hot topic and it's hard to address. So, good luck to the NFL trying to figure that shit out.
Yeah, this is going to continue to be a hot topic, but I think it's good that the NFL has broached it. I think it's something that definitely needs to be discussed. But
Right.
Until you have 32 owners that get their heads together and say, look, we need to do what's best for the league and we need to open it up to everybody, until those 32 people make that collective decision, things aren't going to change.
Tough topic.
Yep. All right, that brings us to the point where we are going to review a couple of the major undrafted free agent signings we had after the draft. And the one name that I have heard being used the most is Javin White. He was a linebacker / defensive back for hometown UNLV.
God, that's so weird to say now. Hometown LV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is 6'3", 205 pounds, so he's a really good size for a defensive back. He grew up in Oakland, and
Nice.
he went to high school in Oakland, and then he played UNLV in college. So he is a hometown boy to the max. He had 199 tackles, including 18 for a loss, 9 interceptions, and 15 pass breakups in his collegiate career. Any thoughts on him?
I see him making the roster. I hope. I'm hoping that he does. I'm familiar with some of his work in college, but I've heard of a couple of interviews from him during the off season. But I really hope that he makes the roster. And I'll remind everybody that we have another linebacker on our roster who was an undrafted free agent as well. You may have heard of his name, Corey Littleton.
Yep. Yeah.
And we also have Nicholas Morrow. He also was undrafted.
That's an interesting point, right? So I'm looking at, let me see. I'm looking at the Our Lads NFL Scouting Services, right? A projected Las Vegas Raiders depth chart, right? And they have him listed as a strong safety, right? But if he's a linebacker, I feel more comfortable with him over Kyle Wilbur and a Nicholas Morrow. Of course, I think Tanner Muse is going to have that weak spot linebacker, but I think if he was going to make this team Javin White, it would be on the weak side to replace Nicholas Morrow or Kyle Wilbur.
Well, he's awfully light to be a linebacker on the NFL level. He's 6'3", 205 pounds.
The depth chart, though, right? It does look, it's pretty deep as safety. We just got Demarius Randall, we got Jeff Heath, Eric Harris. Of course, Jonathan Abrams coming back at free safety. Maybe he could make it there, as backup as free safety. But The linebacking core, right? If I think Tanner Muse will become a starter at the weak side by midseason or whatnot, but we still need to replace, Nicholas Morrow and Kyle Wilbur. So yeah, with his size, I kind of like that. But if you say he's undersized, I'll go with that. We'll see.
Well, we need a speedy linebacker as well for depth, because again, we're assuming that all the linebackers will make it through the season healthy. Right. We've already seen that, and all we need to do is look at Vontaze Burfict.
That really messed it up last year.
That messed it up huge. And we didn't really have any depth, and we had to bring in people off the streets. So if you bring in some quality depth now and have them lined up, and if you can have Javen White, an undrafted free agent, learning from Corey Littleton, who came in the same way and made it, and play in the same mold, then you've got a guy on a rookie deal who's doing the same thing.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what his contribution is going to be, regardless of whatever position he plays. The versatility is going to be nice.
Right.
We've picked up a few versatile people.
That's saying it right there, listed as a linebacker and a defensive back. That says a lot about what Gruden and Mayock are trying to do. They are trying to catch up with the times where, you do play a lot of 3 wide out, so you need defensive backs, but then you need guys that can stay on the field when you have to go to the base. So I kind of like this signing. I do like this signing, and it'd be interesting to see where he lands.
Okay, the next guy that we picked up who could very well make a big impact is Mike Panasiuk. Did I say that one right?
I'm glad you're saying these, because I couldn't say it.
Yeah, Mike Panasiuk. He is a defensive tackle out of Michigan State. Really good size for a defensive lineman. 6'4", 300 pounds. He's a really good run defender. He racked up 95 total tackles and 19 tackles for loss in college. And on top of that, he added 2 interceptions and 4 passes defensed. For a defensive tackle. That's pretty good.
I was actually surprised that he made it through the draft, undrafted.
There's always one. There's always one.
I'm not going to pretend like I knew who this guy was, but, 6'4", 300 pounds, isn't that more like a defensive end, that height, that's a big defensive tackle in the middle, true, but, we'll see. It says defensive lineman, ideal size for a defensive lineman. I know you got him listed as a defensive tackle, but I'd kind of like to see him coming off the edge, and helping out Nassib and things like that.
Maybe he's going to be versatile enough to do both.
Yeah. Because they were looking for that in Arden Key, so maybe this guy can be that guy, right? And Cleveland Farrell.
Yeah, size-wise, he's definitely outdoes Arden Key. Arden Key, who comes in losing weight every year, it seems like.
Yeah, he is light in the ass, for sure. That's why he can't finish the tackle.
Yeah, I definitely have some body fat I can give him. I'm more than willing to do that.
Me too. Hey, just give us a call, all right? Arden Key, give us a call at
we'll call you.
904-701-8667. Oh, man.
Yeah, I could stand being less fluffy. I know it.
Yeah, this quarantine's not helping, right?
No, it isn't. Not at all. But we did pick up 2 specialists. We picked up Dominic Eberle. He is a kicker out of Utah State. He never missed an extra point in college, and he had a career field goal percentage of 79%. In comparison, last year, Daniel Carlson missed 2 PATs and converted on only 73.1% of his kicks. So a little bit of competition is going to be good for Carlson. I like Carlson, but he should not get too comfortable. He needs to step it up.
One other thing, too, over his entire career, he just had 1 kick blocked over his entire career, and that was a 53-yard attempt against Brigham Young back in 2017.
Speaking of being comfortable, we as a fan base got comfortable with Sebastian Janikowski, and it's going to be hard to replace him. But yes, it's good to see the competition, because Carlson did cost us a couple of games late in the season. I think it was the Jaguars game, right? He missed a couple of field goals in that one, right? And we could have easily won that one. But yeah, it's good to see competition. There's a lot of competition in the camp this year, or in training camp if we have one. with all the way from the quarterback to the kicker,
As it should be.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's only going to make us stronger.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Eberle nudge out Carlson during camp or during the season.
Yeah, the only thing worth noting is that the PATs in the NFL are longer than the ones in college. But otherwise, that gives you a pretty straightforward comparison. The other specialist we picked up is a long snapper, Liam McCullough. He's out of Ohio State. He earned an academic honor or award every single year at Ohio State, so he seems to be pretty solid and responsible. It's not easy to get academic awards at Ohio State, pretty competitive. And while there's not really a lot of stats you can use to measure a long snapper, the current Raiders long snapper we have, Trent Sieg, who I actually like quite a bit, he can be let go at the start of the season with 0 dead cap. So that's always a possibility.
Makes me think, I wonder what the cap hit would be if Daniel Carlson was cut. Because this could be the Raiders setting themselves up to save a little bit of money here on special teams, right?
Could be. I didn't look up Daniel Carlson, but he and Trent were signed, 2 years ago? Came in at the same time. So he probably has a comparable contract. Just going off my memory.
Okay, well, that makes sense.
What it really may come down to is the how it gels between the long snapper and the holder, whoever the holder happens to be. So that tandem right there is very, very important, and those two pieces will kind of go together. So whoever it happens to be, McCullough or Sieg, and whoever the holder happens to be. So that's something to keep a particular eye on.
Another good point. All right, and then I put down one more undrafted free agent that we signed of note, Kamal Seymour. He's an offensive lineman. He's out of Rutgers. Big dude, 6'6", 324 pounds. He was a full-time starter for 3 years at right tackle, and he was named to the academic All-Big Ten list in 2017, 18, and 19. While the Raiders have a bit of a logjam at the offensive line, his size and athleticism make him an interesting prospect. So possibly somebody for the practice squad?
I'm looking at him as a practice squad guy.
I'm going to go with that, right?
Now, I'd agree simply because there's so many.
Yeah, we are deep at the offensive guard position.
All right, well, in another free agent signing, the Raiders picked up Devontae Booker, running back formerly of the Broncos. He has played in a total of 61 games where he gained 1,103 yards, and he scored 6 touchdowns over a 4-year career. So they have added him as a possible backup to Josh Jacobs to fill in the gaps. And remember, the Raiders did not draft a big back in the draft, so this could be a solution for that. We will just have to wait and see.
Yeah, and there was a great article that came out this past week on silverandblacktoday.com by Andrea Trask, and she reviews the running back position and actually looks at every single running back we have on the roster. I had no idea we had that many running backs on the roster. So I'll try to post that article so our listeners can check it out. But it was a pretty good look at the position and where we stand with it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, we're looking at Josh Jacobs, Devontae Booker, Lynn Bowden Jr., Jalen Richard, Rod Smith, and William Stanback.
Yeah, it is it's a deep position right now. And I honestly had no idea we had that many. But she did a great job in that article, so check it out. She's a writer that just went over to silverandblacktoday.com, and we congratulate her and know that she's going to do great there.
Yeah, speaking of ladies of darkness, right? Shout out. Hey, congratulations, Andrea.
Yeah, and as far as Ladies of Darkness goes, we are looking to ramp up towards the start of the season, get some new episodes out. Basically what we're doing right now is we're Well, we're kind of waiting for the baby to grow up and be a little bit more easy to manage, and also for me to get settled in after I move.
Yeah, baby Jack.
Yeah, baby Jack. Beyond that, we are looking at starting back up again.
Boys never settle.
Oh no, she's in trouble. But I can't wait. She'll learn to do it. She'll do it. Watch.
Andrea can do anything. She's my hero.
Oh yeah. Oh, do we got a Heidi's Hero segment? Dun, 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 dun.
We do have a Heidi's Hero segment. I forgot to write it out, but I have all the information, so we'll see how that goes. All right, and this past week, the 2020 schedule came out. Later than anticipated, but with everything going on in the world with COVID, it's understandably a little bit late. And it's a full schedule. They started us off at preseason at the Seahawks and the Niners. And they've scheduled the first home game at Allegiant Stadium against the Cardinals on August 27th. That is the first preseason game that will take place at the stadium. Looking forward to it, hoping that we're able to do it. But either way, it's really exciting just to know we're that close to having that building complete.
Man, what a monumental, feat, right? To undergo that kind of construction and do it in that few years. Man, that's badass, man. That's badass.
The one thing I can't get over is this past week how all the Raiders fans have been talking about the stadium, and they're calling it the Roomba. It looks like that automatic little...
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Raider fans, you got to love them. Raider Nation for life.
I heard one radio station out of the West Coast refer to it as the Desert Roomba.
I like the Aliceum. Let's stick with that, right?
I like that.
Well, I saw one meme of the stadium, and the Vegas skyline behind it with a giant... cat sitting on top, and I was like, that's perfect.
Oh man.
It was hilarious. I'll have to see if I can still find it and post it. It was just good for a little laugh. All right, and the regular season part of the schedule, without going through every single game, I think that personally I want to go through every single game once we get closer to the season and have an idea of who's actually have an idea of the timeline. Because right now picking picks is really difficult because we don't even know if we're going to start in September, October, if it's going to be a modified schedule starting in November. We just don't know. So yeah. I'm kind of weary of going through the entire breakdown. But when I did look at the schedule, and Homer and I were talking about it on his show on YouTube, I predicted I see us around 9-7. I could definitely see more. Don't really want to see less. But I think 9-7 is a pretty safe prediction.
And I predicted 10-6.
Yeah, that's where I'm sitting at. 10-6. I think even though the defense has been revamped, a lot of new faces coming in. I think that they've been drafting well as far as drafting football players, true football players. So I think that our defense will be, ready to go and capable of winning games for us and helping our offense. So I'm thinking 10-6. I'm not sure we can win that AFC West. It depends. You know how the Chiefs. You never know though. Something will go wrong for the Chiefs, and we could win, but that division, which would be great. But if we could just get into the playoffs at 10-6, let's end that this short playoff drought. Thankfully in 2016 that long one ended, but let's not go on another one of those. And I think we're primed to actually win those, and it's exciting to see. Primetime Raiders back. We've been talking on this podcast about Mark Davis building his legacy and the NFL maybe giving ground to Mark Davis because he has been making good business moves despite how much it hurts the Oakland fan base. But, 4 primetime games, giving them the draft, even though it got canceled, and then they give them it, a couple years right after they made room for them. We're right there. The NFL wants us to succeed right now.
They do.
And if Gruden can coach them up, I think we're there at 10-6.
I think it's definitely possible, and I would love to see that. My hesitation, which I've told you about before, is simply we're such a young team, and we have so much of the preseason work being interrupted, and I just don't know if we're going to be able to gel in time. We have such a young team, just with players that are coming off their first off season as a full NFL player, and then we have all these rookies coming in as well. We have so much to come together. I'm just not sure that we're going to see it early enough to get a higher record than 9-7, possibly 10-6.
I see your point. However, I think everybody's pretty much on the same playing field. But when you look at the not only just the talent we got, but where we got it from, and the fact that these were guys that Mayock has handpicked to come in and be part of a system, already having foundational players in place. And I think the key, the linchpin to this whole deal, is a guy by the name of Rod Marinelli. I think he's going to bring it together like we don't even know.
Yeah, everybody was upset that Buckner went because he made such an impact on that defensive line. They definitely improved, and he had, he won the Raider Nation's heart, on HBO, Hard Knocks, But Marinelli is poised to come in and make this defense as good as that Dallas defense a couple years ago. And he brought in, 3 of his guys right off the bat, So, yeah, Marinelli can coach this defense up, and I think what he'll also provide is an idea. He can Gunther will be able to bounce ideas off of Marinelli, and Marinelli can kind of convey that to the coaches a little bit more and teach them a little bit more. And I think Marinelli is there to polish Gunther and the players, and if all else fails, he'll be taking over. So I think we can go 10-6. I think that defense is going to surprise a lot of people because you do got Mad Max Crosby coming back. Cleveland Farrell, if he stays at the defensive end, he's going to play well because you got Malik Collins coming in, and he has great hand technique, so he's going to push the middle of that pocket. And then you got Littleton on linebackers. He's not going to stop everybody right all the time, but if he can just limit the tight ends, that's a great step forward. And it just depends. Trayvon Mullen, we all saw what he could do. We saw him get burned in the first game he played in, but he played well after that. It's just a matter of who's going to be the starter on the other end, right? Is it going to be Arnett or is it going to be Amukamara? But still, we improved. We got Jonathan Abram coming back. And, yes, these are young guys, but I think this draft wasn't necessarily we got to draft guys that can play now. We got to draft guys that can come in and compete and maybe steal some spots, but provide the depth, because in 2019 is when they got the players that they need, those linchpin players, those cornerstone players, So I think, and the offense, right, it's coming. We had Gabe Jackson on the trading block, but he didn't go anywhere. So we're coming back almost intact, except we got Ruggs coming over the top, man, with that kind of speed. The fastest wide receiver in the NFL right now. You got to respect that. That's going to take a safety out of the box. There's not going to be 8 in the box now. So I think we're primed.
I'm just holding my breath because at the beginning of 2018, right before the season started, we had the whole Khalil Mack thing go down.
And then last year, AB.
Exactly. And that was like the air going out of the balloon. And then 2019, right before the season started, the whole AB thing went down, and there was the air going out of the balloon again. So I've almost got my breath collectively held right now, just hoping we get through the beginning of the season without another.
Yeah, but now we got COVID messing everything up. But remember, right, in the year that we dealt in 2017, right, we were 4-12. But, man, there were a handful of games where we were leading in the second quarter, going into halftime, and or in the fourth quarter. You know what I mean? So, but we did not have the roster to make the plays, right, on paper at all. Right, and then last year, we dealt with injuries. So on paper, we looked pretty decent, but we dealt with injuries. No depth. But this year, we created depth. We made depth. And, now we got starters that are coming in like Corey Littleton and the dude, Kiwa Atowski. I'm sorry, I can't say his name. But, it's okay, I still can't say it. But, hey, we're right there. We're knocking on the door. Knock on wood if you're with me. You know what I mean, Raider Nation?
Knock on wood if you're
Absolutely.
with me.
Knock on wood. However, you can just start calling him Mr. 44.
Why?
That's his number.
Oh, the dude? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the dude.
See, details, man. You're going to add so much to this podcast. Details, baby. Details.
Let's call him Big Nick.
Cool. Awesome.
Big Nick.
I like the dude better, man. But it's okay.
The dude.
I told you about that dog that I rescued that I named Dude. I told you about that?
I told you I named. Yeah, I told you I rescued a ferret that I named Dude.
Yeah, I still can't believe they changed his name right away. I thought it was perfect for him.
So let's not change Kiwatowski's name. Let's just call him the Dude.
The Dude?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll see about that. I'll see if I can remember that.
He might like that.
Maybe. Never know.
All right, so I have pieced together my little Heidi's Hero. If I wouldn't have taken that dang nap, I would have gotten this done. But you know how I
you're
am with
well
naps.
rested, so you can do it.
Yeah, I will do my best. All right, and that brings us to the most important segment, Heidi's Heroes.
Believe it or not, I'm walking on air. I never thought I could feel so free. Flying away on a wing and a prayer. Who could it be?
All right, this week's Heidi's Hero. It isn't a player, but it is somebody who is well known throughout Raider Nation. It is celebrity chef Guy Fieri. This dude, he is a major Raiders fan. But not only that, he's a philanthropist. He does anything he can to help the community, especially a community that's going through crisis. He has come and fed thousands of people that are going through fires. He went to Las Vegas after that big shooting there, fed the locals, made sure that they had a good meal in them. And now he has decided to focus his efforts on helping those fighting against COVID-19. He appeared on the NFL draft. The NFL draft was a draft-a-thon meant to raise money to fight COVID. Just this past week, he had a great show on Facebook Live, and it was called the Nacho Average Showdown. And it was a showdown against Bill Murray to see who could do the best nachos. He's also recently fed a lot of meals at Memorial Hospital, Sutter's Santa Rosa Regional Hospital, and Kaiser Permanente. When he was at Memorial Hospital, he didn't have to, but what he actually did was he took all 1,200 meals and wrote a note of thanks on them and handed it to people personally. That's a lot of notes to be writing. And his family also helped with that. His wife, his sons, and his parents. But most importantly, or most notably, he's done all of these tasks in order to raise funds for the National Restaurant Association Educational Foundation. They have a relief fund for people that are working in the restaurant industry. They have been giving out $500 grants to anyone that can prove that they were working in the industry and haven't been able to work because of COVID-19. Altogether, what Guy's been able to fundraise, along with many other people, I'm sure, they've raised over $22 million in relief funds. I think I don't really have to explain anymore why Guy is my Heidi's Hero this week.
No, man. Raider Nation, right? In any time of crisis, Raider Nation stands and delivers. That's what we do as a nation, man. We help the communities and we help each other, man. That's why it's an honor and it's a privilege to be a part of the Raider Nation. You should always take that seriously. Rep the Raider Nation with pride and poise and a commitment to excellence.
Yeah.
Like no other.
And Guy is definitely a big fan of Raider Nation, and he covers that giving to others. He really does. $22 million fundraised just in the last few months. Yeah.
That's awesome. Man, that's a great Heidi's Hero segment.
That is a wonderful.
And I just threw that together. That's pretty good.
You're so talented.
I'll probably cringe when I listen to the replay, though.
It's okay. It's a podcast. You can re-record.
That's right, I can.
Besides, you get the final edit.
Why do you think I wanted to do the final edit?
I know.
And somehow you can dub in all the singing over top of the music.
Yes, that actually is what I do. Yeah.
I think you should leave the singing in there one day or one episode.
You wish. You just want to hear my lovely voice.
Hey, I get to hear it every week. I just want to share it.
You're crazy.
All right, cool. Hey, T3, thank you for joining us on this episode and for joining the Only Nation podcast, man. Like I said, Raider Nation, you heard him. He delivers on the details, man. And make sure you subscribe to his YouTube channel. Hey, T3, tell the Raider Nation all about your YouTube channel.
My pleasure. Thank you, Homer. You can find me on YouTube under T3 Sports Guy. It's the T3 Raider Roots podcast. And what it does is it breaks down in about 15 to 20 minute segments, year by year, the history of the Raiders. There are 9 segments already in the bag. Working on number 10 right now, which catalogs the year 1966.
Awesome. And I listen to every single episode when it comes out. Usually listen to it twice. At least twice, just to make sure that I comprehended everything, because there is so much information in there. All right, Raider Nation, give us a call at 904-701-8667. Email us at theonlynationpodcast@gmail.com. Check us out on Twitter and Instagram at OnlyNationPod. Check us out on YouTube, The Only Nation Podcast. We're trying to build that up. We only have a few subscribers.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying to get a few more people assigned there.
If you're subscribed to the Raider Homer channel, please subscribe to the Only Nation Podcast YouTube channel and T3 Sports Guy. If you like my content, you're definitely going to like their content.
Absolutely.
And also, if you're subscribed to the Locked On podcast, which I'm a frequent contributor to as well with our boy Q, feel free to subscribe to this channel as well. Once again, lots of Raiders content, lots of different platforms to go on. There's nothing like talking Raiders football.
Nothing like it.
Nothing makes me happier. All right, and then don't forget to send us a message with your name and address, and we'll get a free sticker out. We'll send out a free sticker to you. Stickers! And probably more than one sticker, and probably some other stuff too. You just gotta send it in.
Oh.
Yeah.
You know, I should say that. Yeah, it's a good little segue. Hey, Raider Nation. All right, I'm about to release a sub package. We're talking about subscriptions. I want to get you guys to subscribe to these channels. So I'm going to release a subscription package to the Raider Homer channel, which includes Only Nation podcast sticker, some Raider Homer channel stickers, and a One Nation and or Sugar Skull patch from jr60brands.com. And everybody that participates gets a 15% discount promo code at jr60brands.com. So, hey, and you know what, guys? We got to put a package together, a subscription package for each of our channels.
Sounds good. We'll be getting on that.
Yeah.
All right, I think that brings us to the complete end, and we'll wrap it up right now. Until next time, everyone, go Raiders.
Go Raiders.
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 You got to work on that.